I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, Forevermore is a book that tells the tale of two lucky individuals who find their soulmates. Despite the challenges life throws at them, their connection only grows stronger over time, proving that true love can overcome any obstacle. We're delighted to have Madonna Machado join us here today on Spotlight. We'd like to thank the folks at Content Creative Agency for helping us put Madonna in the spotlight today. We ask those watching at home to please subscribe to support authors like her. Madonna, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. It's such an pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Quite an honor. You've written quite a book, Forevermore. Tell the folks at home what it's all about.
Well, really, it's a never-ending love is the whole title. Forevermore, a never-ending love story. And my husband and I, we started out our relationship early on in our life, very early on. And back then he would say, Dale and Madonna forever. And as we went through our life's experiences together, but maybe not physically all the time, it evolved to forevermore. Never ending, in other words. And it's so very true. And this is something I want to share with people in the book. It really, from the beginning to the end, is basically all about us and me and my life and his life and our life. And so to tell you anything about me, and it's in the book, pretty much. But,
sounds good. Well, let me ask you this. Everybody starts out with the good intentions. Everybody thinks their love is eternal. Everybody thinks that this is forevermore. But for maybe half or so, it doesn't end up that way. What did you guys do differently that kept you guys together forevermore?
Well, there are times when you have a physical distance during that time, but that connection is always there. So if that connection with that other person that you had a great connection with, it's called faith. And things might happen, but if you keep taking the next step, even though you're not sure what it is or what it should look like, but because your heart tells you, take the next step. It's scary, exciting, but it's so well worth it. And that's the inspiration in the book, one of them anyway, to having people understand, just have faith and keep a high vibration attitude. It's not always easy, but
absolutely. Do you think it's more important to like each other than to love each other?
I think you start out with love. Some people start out with like. It really doesn't matter. When you connect with that one being that's here for you, and they are here for you, and you are here for them, there's something about it. There's something about that moment. And we were 15 years old that moment. 15. Okay. Wow. So it was, quite a journey. Fun as heck and heartbreaking and well worth it. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I still do that.
Do you think that young love that is able to endure is the strongest kind of love?
I think love is love. And it's strong as it can be. Love really, it isn't anything other than what we have for each other. And that love can grow, which ours did. And it also takes twists and turns, which is in the book too. So you can see, if once you read the whole book, you'll go, God, if you could do it. I used to tell people about our story years ago, and they say, oh, you got to write a book. I'm like, oh, write a book.
Tell the folks at home, what are some of the obstacles you had to overcome to keep that relationship going and together?
Well, it's knowing what your heart, listening to your heart. because my heart directed me sometimes in another direction, but it was still part of the whole picture. It isn't like this one snapshot. It really has a culmination of experience together and having faith that what you are doing is for a reason beyond what you might understand. I really think it's a very spiritual path, love. And you writing this book, I started to talk about my whole life, put it down, and I realized, oh, that's why that happened. While I'm writing the book, I'm like, oh my God, that's why that happened. So we don't always know. We really don't. You just have to trust and keep moving forward. I mean, it's simple, but it's not,
Right.
but it's well worth it. It's so well worth it. And it never, and that's part of my story too. It never, ever ends, no matter what.
What about conflicts? Every couple has conflicts. The successful couples, I'm told, resolve those conflicts well. The other couples don't. They continue to fight. In fact, some people say some couples have the same fight over and over and over again. How have you and Dale been able to resolve the conflicts you've come across in love and in life? In practical terms, do you have any tools? Do you talk about what's bothering you? Do you not talk about what's bothering you? Are you respectful in your criticism of each other? Tell me a little bit about conflict resolution within your relationship.
Well, conflict resolution, I really wouldn't have a particular style, I guess, or how to go about it. But at one point, I realized when I thought other people in my life needed help, I realized I needed help. So that's where I went. I went to look within myself, and it's a spiritual journey. And this particular one was mine. And it really helped me become aware of when I point a finger at somebody, I'm really pointing 3 back at me, or 4, however you want to say it. So really it's the ability to take ownership of your part of the situation. So and if the love is strong, which is what it usually is, you'll make it through. It's an ego thing, really kind of kicks and screams, but you really just learn how to change within yourself, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you wrote this book, but in many ways, you and Dale wrote it together, correct?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, he, in many different ways, will give me suggestions. Or didn't you, think about how about this? But it would, while I'm putting it all together, I would forget something. And all of a sudden I hear a message from far away and he would tell me. So he was helping me constantly, and he always will. And I always will with him. It's such a partnership. And if you know and understand, and if you feel that, work hard for it, really work hard. Because for me, again, my whole life, I've listened to messages. Even when I was a kid, I didn't really do all that well in school, but I would follow these messages. And then it led me to where I needed to be. It's crazy. Yeah. Didn't think about it at the time. I was just walking along, but it really is listening to your heart. I believe that it's very, very important, really important. It's sort of our compass, it really is. And trust it. I close my eyes and take a step. Okay, here we go. But it's so fulfilling, and you always are having a happy ending because it never ends. Yeah.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about your lives together. I know you live in Hawaii, which is like paradise. That's got to help a little bit. Although, like I said, the divorce rate's probably as high in Hawaii as any other place, but you're a successful couple. Tell me about your lives, what you do for work, and what your day-to-day is like, that kind of stuff.
Well, he's definitely he loves he loves writing actually,
Mm.
but he's on the retired end of the experience of life, I would say. And I don't write. That's what I kept telling him. I don't write. And oftentimes I will record my life story and our life story. And then actually my daughter, who isn't his biological daughter, I did have a daughter in between a bunch of experiences in my life, but she loves him so much, and she helped with this as well. So I'm here opening up for anything, really. I have a realtor's license, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps is starting at 71, my first book. I'm 71 now.
I can't believe that. You got me shocked there. I would have guessed at least a decade or so younger.
Oh, thank you.
So love is doing good things for your face as well as for your soul and your heart.
Yeah.
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 So tell me what it was like. You say you're not a writer, but you wrote this book. What was it like writing the book, and how did you do it?
Well, this is how I insisted that I don't write. I don't read that much. And I don't like sitting and writing with a pen and paper or even typing a thought down, because by the time my thought is my typing, I'm way behind my thought. So I recorded a lot of it. And that's where, when I started to share these different parts of our lives, I realized why things are the way they are now because of what happened then. And I was able to start putting the pieces together, you know? So one of our goals as well is to help other people. And Deb would say to me, I really want to help people, and actually have a tear in his eye. He wanted it so much. So we've done a lot of that in our lives with exploring within our own consciousness and learning ahas after ahas. We really got to see how we could help other people. So that's the biggest prize, I think. We can come together and help others no matter what.
Yeah, that is definitely a joy. That's definitely part of life, and that's definitely part of fulfillment, helping others. So putting it down on paper as a roadmap for others is certainly helpful and is certainly a gift of love. What was it like being honest in your book and sharing your life with the general public and putting it all down in black and white for people to read? Was that part tough?
Well, the intention is to help other people with what we have become aware of, and how it is possible to become more empowered with yourself. That's in the book as well. But mostly certain parts of the book, which was very touching the heart, I'd cry a lot. I mean, I didn't think that was going to be a part of the whole thing, but it was. So that's where I started to see what I could do and what we could do with writing your story, is to help other people, not to just put your story out there, but to help others. People will come up to me and say, gosh, I sure wish I had a Dale. Loves me the way he loves you. He was very outward. Always. He's always, I mean, today, still yet. But me, I'm more of and it's in the book why I would be this way. I realized that I keep it in and then spurt of love, and then keep it in, kind of guarded, So he was able to really help me get comfortable with that.
Right, right. Well, you're blessed to have found each other, two people that are in sync. It's a gift in part. It's something that's worked on and created in another part. Now, you guys met at 15, but you weren't together your whole lives. You were apart. How did you find your way back to each other?
That's the other piece. It's almost like something beyond outside of me kept I would just decide I'm going to go back to Hawaii before I turn 50.
Hmm.
I don't know why. I just did. And as it turns out, you really should read the book, but it ended up going back there, helped us reunite. And, but in a way that I had to just put one foot in front of the other. I call that chapter stepping stones. It was definitely taking a step and this would happen, and taking a step and this would happen. And it was like outside of me, like some higher power was saying, guess what? It's time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, again, just have faith. If you truly love somebody, truly, truly, truly. And he handed me his phone number when we were 15. I hadn't met him yet. And I'm, what are you doing? But somehow he knew. He knew.
That's
So
amazing.
you just have faith and keep going. It's hard. It's hard, but it's worth it. I get so nervous sometimes, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But the faith is what's so joyful in your heart. Follow your heart. It's an old saying, but it's so true.
Well, it's
It's
easier
our,
said than done. I mean, people think they know what their heart wants, their brain gets in the way, life gets in the way. So to be able to listen to the messages that your heart gives you is part of the secret, I think, right?
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You grew up in Hollywood, California. Is that a tough
Yep.
place to grow up in?
Not back as far as, let's see, back then.
Well,
In
especially
the
you grew up what, in the, if you're 71, I'm saying you grew up probably in the 50s and 60s, 60s and
60s.
70s.
I think it was the funnest. It really was. I was young. I was four of five sisters, number four. And by the time it got to us, my parents were off and doing other things. So I could get away with some things, but I grew up Catholic. So that's in the book too, in a Catholic school. So that kind of keeps you, I don't know, not protected, but just away from a lot of what could go crazy, I guess.
It shelters
And
you. I was a Catholic school kid myself, so you're
yeah,
protected from a lot of what's out there because of your upbringing, right?
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. I think my parents just kind of had us go there. I mean, they're very Catholic, but
Mhm.
we were kind of handed over, I guess. But with my personality, I didn't follow much of anything that they said, honestly, because I just knew there was something more. There was something more than this whole black and white thing.
Mm.
So I kept that since I was, 10, I guess. I just knew there was something more. And son of a gun, there is. There really started to show up all around me in my whole life, just expecting something more.
And that something more was?
My life
Mm.
and points and what was going to help me get from here to there. Although I didn't know it ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part. I just was get messages. I was guided, I guess. I'm not sure, but I really, looking back on my 71 years of life, I pretty much roller skated through it in a way, had fun, and was scared, but I followed my heart.
Mm.
I think everybody can if you just sit quietly, maybe 10 minutes a day and just listen. Something will speak to you. Yeah, thank God I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you went to Hawaii because you had visited there and it was a beautiful place. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to Hawaii.
Originally,
Yeah.
Hawaii was always, this is in the book, it's all in the book.
Yeah.
but it was, my dad had crashed in the ocean in 55. He was a pilot, Pacific. And he was brought to Honolulu. He survived, which was a total miracle. My mother came to get him and fell in love with Hawaii. She fell in love with Hawaii. And she brought home all this Hawaiian paraphernalia. And she would go to Hawaii quite often and keep bringing stuff home. I did the Tahitian when I was 12 at their 25th wedding anniversary. I learned Tahitian. It was always kind of a thread through our family in our circle in that home. And then one day, Dale's father said, "Come to Hawaii, I have a job for you." And I went, "What?" So we did. I had to go look it up on a map. Where's Hawaii now? I knew about Hawaii, but I just didn't know where it was. And so there it started. It was always kind of another thread in my life that was kind of leading me to what was going to happen next. And we definitely fell in love with it. We got on the tarmac off the plane and said, "We're home."
Yeah.
And what, 19 years old or something? 20, I don't know, 20 years old. And it was always a part. It was like this, sometimes a revolving plane ride, back and forth, but it was always here. And we both knew it. We just knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think you're right. When you know something is good, you know something is right, you know something's a fit, you feel it immediately. You, in part, do you think you were lucky that you met Dale? I mean, a lot of people aren't lucky enough to meet that one person that they really connect with, right? Or do you think
Well,
tell me about what your thoughts on that are.
well, originally when he handed me his phone number, I just thought, what a weird guy. What a weird thing to, and so he had to kind of, I don't know about lucky. There's meant to be's. We all have a soulmate. This I know. But I wasn't looking for one. I was never looking for a boyfriend. It was just, I was just life. I did sports. It wasn't like that. It was just like I was being me, I guess, and wondered why this guy gave me his phone number. Yeah, so many years later.
Where were you? What were the circumstances that he walked up to you and said, "Here's my phone number"?
My dear friend, Joanne Kasu, her uncle owned Gazzari's on the Strip. And so Dale had worked there, actually parking cars. And so we met at her house. She walks in with him. I'm like, wow, he's good looking. I did notice that, which I normally would, yeah, this guy. But no, it was quite striking. He had this great smile, always biggest smile, all the time, all the years. He walked into a room and people would just be drawn to him. So that's when he slipped me the phone number. And then we all went off to Gazzari's to dance. And that's where it started. It just kind of happened. But I do believe we all have that one person it's meant to happen. Just don't go look for it, maybe. Just be you, and not trying to be somebody you think somebody might like. Honestly.
So you think there's a one and only? There's not 50 people that you might connect with?
Oh, yeah, you can. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that one first guy is going to be the one, but I didn't know that either. It took me a while to realize, that this is it. This is it. I just head over heels. And we were kids.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think the head over heels aspect of love is sometimes underappreciated, but I think that initial bond, that initial attraction is extremely important, because that is in part what keeps you together during the rough patches.
Absolutely. It's like the gift that you've been given. Now, what are you going to do with it? It's up to you, not the other person. Not at all. It really isn't. If we hand it over to the other person, we're doomed. It really is up to you what you do with it. And we just naturally loved each other so much. So much.
You're blessed for sure. Now, it's interesting too, because you guys have grown up together. You've known each other since you're teenagers. and now you guys are seniors. You've gone from seniors in high school to senior citizens together, which is kind of nice, right?
Well, yeah, yes, yes. In the book, he said, I take note, he never graduated high school. His mom wanted him to go work, which in Hollywood was okay with him, you know. Later on, he self-educated. He very read everything. Smartest man, I tell you, so smart. But yeah,
Wonderful.
We have a statue that we saw in Santa Fe. It's two older people, kind of roly-poly, leaning one direction, laughing. And we looked at it, it says, there we are. When we're old, that's going to be us.
Nice.
And so we were ready for it. We don't care.
That's great. That's great. How old were you when you saw that statue of the roly-poly couple?
Let's see, probably 55, 54.
55. All right, great. Well, I'm glad you guys have made it to the roly-poly stage. Not that you look roly-poly, but you know what I mean. I'm glad you guys have stayed together this long, and I'm glad you were able to document it all in this beautiful book that I think will be a true gift to people to read and find out what they can learn about themselves by learning about your love story. Now that you've written this book, dictated this book, recorded this book, have you gotten the bug? Do you want to write anything else? Tell me what the future holds for Madonna Machado.
Actually, I originally was going to write another book. Believe it, I mean, I just thought this is needed, because at the end of this book, you'll understand why. And it was something that I felt needed to be shared. But then, as everything happens in my world, I was redirected to write this book. And my project manager, she helped me even name it, because Forevermore was a signature that Dale and I used. Happy birthday, Forevermore, Madonna, or your love, Dale. Always, 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 forevermore. Meaning there's no ending. And that's the part in this book, Forevermore. Towards the end, you'll understand there is no ending. It just continues on as it's supposed to.
Wonderful, wonderful. So instead of the end, it's forevermore. And that is the title of the book, Forevermore, a never-ending love story. It is written by Madonna Machado. She has spent her life with her beloved Dale, and they have forged a life together. They have endured where other couples have fallen apart. They have found joy where other couples have found sorrow. And she has written a memoir of sorts of their lives and documented just what it was that kept them together as they journeyed through life together forevermore. Madonna, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
This is so awesome. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you so much for joining us. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight. Aloha.